Chapter 41. Weariness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown translated editor. Noodletown translated. Had she been well these past 7 years? Yeah, she had been wanting to ask herself the same question. Concealing her brilliance and living as someone who was ordinary in every way, did that count as well? After a moment of silence, Huamian slowly replied, not bad. By this time, they arrived in front of Huamian's apartment building. The moment his car stopped, Huamian pushed open the door and got out as though the hounds of hell were on her heels. Thank you for driving me home. Bye. After hastily saying goodbye, Huamian hurried up the stairs. She was truly afraid that Qin Chu would say something else to her, and that the memories slumbering inside her for the last 7 years would be uncovered. Staring at Huamian's retreating figure, a hint of warmth crept into Qin Chu's eyes. Even though she was still keeping him at an arm's length, being able to drive her home and watch her like this was already enough to make him happy. Watching the lights upstairs blink to life, Qin Chu pulled out a pack of cigarettes and lit one as he leaned against his car. He had survived 7 years without her already, so the difficulties before him now were nothing in comparison. She was his. This was something he had already decided for this lifetime. It didn't matter if she agreed. Arriving upstairs, Huamian took a shower and got ready for bed. Without knowing why, she walked over to the window and tugged a corner of the curtain open. As she had expected, his car was still parked in the same spot. Qin Chu was leaning against it, unmoving. Noticing that someone seemed to be standing by the window, Qin Chu raised his head and gazed up in delighted surprise. Huamian immediately drew the curtains back into place as her heart began pounding in her chest. She was tense all over, as though some unmentionable secret of hers had been discovered. Why was this happening? Wasn't it all far in the past? Why was seeing him and looking into his eyes still making her so tense? Lying in bed, Huamian tossed and turned, unable to sleep. She already mentally worked through what was happening with Ning Ziyuan, and she was able to see the situation calmly. The fact that they didn't end up together simply showed that it wasn't meant to be. She had done what she could to try and fix the problem. She didn't owe him anything, either. However, if Qin Chu continued to interject himself into her life all the time, what was she going to do? Giving it some thought, she made a post on her WeChat friend circle. In each person's life, they will encounter someone who they can't be with. We always lament that it was such an overwhelming and powerful love, one comparable even to the value of our lives. We believe the painful parting in the end to be the greatest regret in our lifetimes. As time moves on and the scenery changes, we look back upon those ridiculous times. You will realize that you must actually be thankful for the choices you had made back then. This is because, as I'm finally beginning to understand, the one you were unable to be with was, in truth, just the wrong person. Not long after Huamian posted, she got up and went to the bathroom. When she got back, she had already received several comments. A few people liked her post, mostly company workers working the night shift at the hospital. The young nurse, Huang Yu, wrote, "Don't be sad, big sis Mian. You have your whole life ahead of you. Good luck." Huamian responded below, "Thanks little sis." They treated each other like sisters because like Huamian, Huang Yu was also a graduate of City Medical School's advanced nursing program. Her girlfriend, Zhu Lingling, commented, "Girl, for once you're not on the night shift. Go to bed early. Don't overthink. Tomorrow is a new day." Huamian wrote back, "Girl, sometimes I really wish I could go to someplace where no one knows me and start over." Zhu Lingling immediately replied, "You can't do that. Don't abandon me. You're my best friend." After reading this, Huamian only replied with a smiley face and didn't say anything else. Wei Dong commented below, "Only by leaving the wrong person can you meet the right one. Don't give up on the whole forest just because one tree turned out slanted." Likewise, Hua Mian only replied with a smiley face out of courtesy. The truth was, sometimes, she really felt tired and wanted to start over somewhere else. However, it was impossible, because she still needed to take care of her mother and brother. Before her little brother starts working, she couldn't leave them behind. Hua Mian didn't have work the next day, so she slept in. It wasn't until she heard the doorbell ringing that she finally got up. When she saw Ning Ziyuan, Hua Mian was still half asleep. "You're here to get your things, right?" she muttered sleepily. "I've already packed it all up for you." "Mian, I'm here to see you," Ning Ziyuan said earnestly as he stared at Hua Mian. Chapter 42. The end. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown Translated. "Oh, come inside. Give me a minute, I'm going to go wash up." Hua Mian opened the door to let Ning Ziyuan in. Walking inside, he slowly looked around this little home, and his chest filled with a complex mix of emotions. He still remembered how excited he was when he had first moved in with Hua Mian. Even though they slept in separate rooms, the simple fact that they could be together from dawn to dusk filled him with joy. If it hadn't been for the incident at her high-school reunion, perhaps they would have held their wedding already. Ning Ziyuan truly hated that ex-boyfriend of Hua Mian's. They broke up so many years ago, so why did he have to come running back and bother them? If he was that rich, why didn't he just go and find another girlfriend? Why did he have to cling on to Hua Mian? Hua Mian got dressed, then went to the bathroom to wash up. When she came out, she saw Ning Ziyuan was sitting on the sofa, reading the newspaper. "What did you want to see me about?" Drying her hair, Hua Mian walked out into the room. "Thank you for bailing me out yesterday," Ning Ziyuan opened his mouth and said awkwardly. Hua Mian instantly knew what he was talking about and only calmly replied, "It's nothing. Mian, actually, I'm not normally like that. I was just in a bad mood yesterday. I was thinking about our past together, which was why I went drinking. After I got drunk, some woman took me out of the bar. I actually don't remember what happened after that. You have to believe me. You shouldn't be explaining this to me." "Your current girlfriend is He-Man," Hua Mian reminded him. "Mian, you know I still have feelings for you. Over the past few years, you and I." "Ziyuan, what are you trying to say?" Hua Mian cut straight to the point. "Mian, I was in the wrong this time. You went through the trouble of picking me up last night and getting me to the hotel. I really feel that I've wronged you. He-Man and I were just fooling around. It wasn't real. You're still the one I love. Let's wipe the slate clean, okay? I won't bring up the fact that you were still in contact with your ex-boyfriend anymore. I screwed up this time. Add that to the thing with He-Man, and we can call it even. Let's go back to how things were before." "Alright." Hua Mian put down her towel. "Ziyuan. Do you think life is a game? You mess up, and you can just start over," she asked, staring seriously into Ning Ziyuan's eyes. "That's not what I was thinking. It took us time and effort to come together. Since we both have feelings for one another, why do we have to torture each other? Ziyuan, do you know what kind of person I hate the most?" "What?" Ning Ziyuan asked. "Liars. I didn't lie, Mian. Yesterday was really the first time I screwed up. I won't do it again. But the policeman at the station told me that you had been taken to the station before. It wasn't your first time with a prostitute. You're a frequent offender." When Hua Mian finished speaking, Ning Ziyuan's face instantly drained of color. It was a while before he was able to stammer out, "Don't listen to those stinking policemen. They're all corrupt. They only arrest people for the money. They set me up. Ziyuan, that's not the point. The point is that we can't go back." "Why? You still want to be with your ex-boyfriend, don't you? Just because he has more money than me?" Ning Ziyuan was getting angry. Don't bring him into this. It has nothing to do with him. I don't believe you. You're definitely still in love with him. You can't forget him, can you? Ning Ziyuan questioned. Ziyuan, I've explained already. You know that I never lie. It is what it is. Then, there's no chance of us getting back together. Ning Ziyuan asked, distraught. Hua Mian remained silent. Alright, I understand. With that, Ning Ziyuan took out a wad of cash from his bag and placed it on the coffee table. I heard that you spent 2,000 on my bail yesterday and another 1,000 for the hotel room. Altogether, it's 3,000. Here, I don't want to owe you anything. We're even now. Hua Mian, I'm warning you. Since you've made your decision today, don't regret it. When that rich boy doesn't want you anymore, when he's done toying with you, don't you come begging me to take you back. I've given you a chance, and you're the one who threw it away. Hearing this, Hua Mian felt somewhat speechless. After Ning Ziyuan finished talking, he turned around and opened the door to leave. Hey, you haven't taken your stuff yet. I don't want it. Throw it away, Ning Ziyuan huffed before slamming the door behind him. This time, it's really over, right? Hua Mian thought. Just then, her cell phone rang. Hua Mian turned around to reach for it. Chapter 43. Memorial. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown translated editor. Noodletown translated Jishin. When Hua Mian picked up the phone, her voice took on a doting tone. Sis, are you off work today? Yeah. Then let's go sweep Dad's grave together at noon. Okay. Hua Mian was planning to go even if Jishin hadn't called. It had been exactly 7 years since Uncle Jing passed away. It was on this day, 7 years ago, that Uncle Jing died from that fatal car crash. I already went with Mom this morning and her mood wasn't great. I'll go with you again at noon. Don't you have classes today? Nope. I'm going to the library to study in the afternoon. Alright, wait for me. We'll meet at the gates of the public cemetery. Okay. Hanging up, Hua Mian's mood instantly grew heavy. She still remembered that night 7 years ago. She was on her way home from her evening classes when a black Buick commercial van came charging at her, too quick for her to dodge. It was then that Uncle Jing, who was there to pick her up from school, suddenly charged over and pushed her aside. In the end, she could only watch as Uncle Jing died under the wheels of that car. His blood formed a stream on the pavement. She only sustained minor injuries and a few scrapes, but the accident cost Uncle Jing his life. If it were not for her, Uncle Jing wouldn't have died. Originally, she had thought that it was just an accident. However, she was left dumbstruck when she later learned that the driver responsible for the crash was the Qin family's chauffeur. How audacious was the Qin family that they couldn't even be bothered to cover up the fact that they paid for someone to be killed. Did they really need to send their own chauffeur to do their dirty work? These rich people really didn't give a damn about ordinary citizens. Her mother and younger brother were both heartbroken. Time and time again, she had gone to court, suing the offending driver. By then, the Qin family had already sent Qin Chu out of the country. She, on the other hand, had been left to carry an unbearable burden all by herself. In the end, Hua Mian and her family insisted on rejecting the compensation. The offending driver had had no choice but to take the charges and go to prison. However, he was only charged with drunk driving and was given a measly sentence of 5 years. It was that moment when she profoundly felt the unfairness of it all and the difference between those with money and those without. Furthermore, she understood that, with a background like hers, she would never be able to mingle with a wealthy family with connections like the Qins. It was also then that she completely abandoned all thoughts of being with Qin Chu. Collecting those heavy memories, Hua Mian splashed some water on her face. Changing into a pair of black pants, a black t-shirt, and a pair of black sunglasses, she walked out the door. As she passed the flower shop along the way, she stopped to purchase a bouquet of white chrysanthemums. The public cemetery was located in the city outskirts, and it took 3 bus transfers just to get there. It was already close to noon when she arrived at the gates. "Sis." Jing Zixin waved at Huamian from a ways off. "You've been waiting for a while, haven't you?" Huamian patted his head affectionately. "Not long, just 15 minutes or so." "Sis, you seem to have lost weight recently. Have you been working too many night shifts?" Huamian only smiled gently at her brother's concern. "No, I'm on a diet." After that, the two walked into the public cemetery together. They placed the fresh flowers she had bought earlier before Uncle Jing's gravestone. There were also fruits and a flower basket that their mother had left when she visited in the morning. "Zixin, over the past few years, have you ever blamed me like Mom does?" Taking off her sunglasses, Huamian's expression was sorrowful. Jing Zixin looked at his older sister. Perplexed, he exclaimed, "Sis, what are you saying? Why would I do that? What happened back then wasn't your fault. The Qin family are the bad guys. If Dad hadn't died, you would have. You're both the closest people I have in my life. But if I hadn't ignored the warnings and continued to date Qin Chu, this tragedy wouldn't have occurred." Huamian bit her lip, her chest filled with guilt. To this, Jing Zixin's reply completely shocked Huamian. She could hardly believe that her 19-year-old brother was capable of saying something like that. Chapter 44. Accident. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown translated editor. Noodletown translated. Jing Zixin said, "Sis, love isn't wrong, and the fault isn't with you. The Qin family is despicable to use such underhanded tactics to force you two apart back then. The truth is, you were hurt inside too, weren't you? You're also still deeply in love with Qin Chu, right?" Zixin. Huamian suddenly didn't know what to say. "I'm not just a kid that knows nothing. Also, I know about your breakup with Ziyuan. The other day, I called him. I knew from his tone that something wasn't right. Even though he didn't say it directly, I knew something was wrong between the two of you. Before Mom ended up in the hospital, Qin Chu came to our home. Linking these two incidents together, I thought that maybe you never liked Ziyuan, sis. You're still in love with Qin Chu, and you can't let go. So, I won't blame you. Dad is dead, and the dead can't be brought back to life. All I hope is that, sis, you don't leave yourself with any more regrets from now on. Love isn't something you can force. I read in a magazine that love is something that only you know yourself. Ziyuan might be a good guy, but you don't love him. I don't want my sister to spend the rest of her life with a man she doesn't love. If you still like Qin Chu, then be with him. Even if Mom doesn't approve it, even if she hates you or screams at you, I won't. I would understand. Blame should be placed on those responsible, and what the Qin family did can't be pinned on Qin Chu. So, I'm going to say this again, I'll be happy as long as you are happy, sis." By the time Jing Zixin finished speaking, Huamian's face was already streaked with tears. She wasn't a crybaby. After breaking up with Ning Ziyuan, she hadn't shed a single tear. However, what her little brother said shook her to her core. Her brother was only 19 years old. How precious was it that he could put himself in her shoes and understand what she had been through. She suddenly remembered a formerly popular phrase, "Most pay attention to how high you fly, but only those who care for you worry about how tired you must be." Her brother was such a sweet boy, always encouraging Huamian when she was down. These past years, aside from supporting her little brother financially, Huamian felt like she really hadn't been a good sister. At the very least, she never cared for or worried about her brother like he did for her, and she never paid attention to what her brother was really thinking about. "Sis, stop crying. You're not a kid anymore. Here, wipe your face, you look like a mess. Jing Zixin handed her a pack of tissues. Huamian dried her tears, though her breathing hadn't yet settled. BL.net Zixin, I never knew that you understood everything. Thank you for being so understanding. What's this nonsense? We're siblings. You and Mom are the two people I love the most in the whole wide world. Jing Zixin smiled, revealing a pair of little protruding canine teeth. Huamian's tears twinkled as they caught the light. She thought, Uncle Jing, please watch over Zixin and I, make it so that we will always be okay, no more disturbances. Neither of us can take any more loss. It was already 1 p.m. when they walked out of the public cemetery. Don't you have to go to the library to study? I still have time. Sis, I'm so hungry. Let's go eat something. Huamian nodded. After that, the two took the bus back into the city and found a little restaurant near Jing Zixin's university. They ordered 2 dishes and soup. Although the meal was simple, they still enjoyed it a lot. Jing Zixin was in the 2nd semester of his freshman year. The university wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad either. It was technically a 2nd-tier university. He studied civil engineering, and from what she had heard, he planned on becoming an engineer after graduation. Sis, when I graduate and find a job, I can support our family alongside you. When that happens, you and Mom won't need to work so hard anymore. Yeah. Huamian nodded with a smile on her face. After lunch, Huamian bought some fruit for her brother and walked him all the way to his school gates. Sis, go home already. Call me if anything comes up, Jing Zixin said, waving goodbye at Huamian. When Huamian returned to her apartment, she spent the entire afternoon doing a thorough cleaning of the place. As someone in the medical field, she was obsessed with hygiene. It was nearly 6 p.m. by the time she finished. Exhausted, she curled up on the couch, watching TV to pass the time. Right then, her phone rang. Peering at the caller.id, she saw that it was an unfamiliar number. Are you Jing Zixin's sister? The boy on the other end sounded frantic as he asked. I am. I'm Jing Zixin's roommate. Jing Zixin was just in a car accident on campus. He is on his way to the first hospital for emergency care. You should hurry over. Upon hearing this, Huamian felt her vision swim. She almost fainted. Chapter 45. The whole world collapsing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown translated editor. Noodletown translated. Huamian couldn't remember how she managed to leave her apartment and how she got to the hospital's emergency room. The operating room was already closed, and a group of people was waiting outside the door. She saw her mother collapsed in a chair in the hallway, racking with heart-wrenching sobs. Mom, how's Zixin? Oh, my poor Zixin. You have got to be okay. How will Mom live with herself otherwise? As though she was unable to see Huamian, Yang Meirong continued to wail with her eyes closed. 2 young nurses walked over, intending on scolding her to keep it down. They were surprised when they saw Huamian. Huamian, are you the patient's family, too? Huamian nodded, her face pale. Weiwei, how's my little brother? What's the situation? We don't know yet. But it was pretty scary when they brought him in. His heart rate was irregular, and his blood pressure was frighteningly high. The attending is trying to save him. You have to wait for now. Okay, I understand. Huamian felt the strength drain out of her body, she was close to collapsing. They were just eating lunch together around noon, chatting and laughing. How could something like this happen in the same afternoon? If anything were to happen to Zixin, she couldn't imagine how she and her mother could continue living on this earth. 7 years ago, Uncle Jing's death had already veiled their family in a sheet of frost. If something were to happen to her brother now, she was afraid that she would lose the courage to live. By now, she noticed that other families were crying outside the operating room, and only then did it occur to her to ask what happened. A middle-aged man, about 40 years old and wearing gold-rimmed glasses, walked over. Huamian recognized him. He was Jing Zhixin's university professor. Professor Sun, what in the world happened? From what I heard, Jing Zhixin was involved in a car accident on his way back to his dorm from the library. He wasn't the only one injured. There were 3 other students who sustained serious injuries. It was classified as a chain reaction collision. The professor's tone was grave. Huamian stiffened for a second. How could that be? Isn't there a speed limit on campus? At such low speeds, how could such a serious car accident have taken place? I wasn't present when it happened. We need to wait for the surveillance footage to be processed to know the details. But from what student witnesses said, a Porsche sports car was speeding. It caused significant damage to the university's infrastructure, hitting and injuring 4 students before slamming into a tree. A Porsche sports car. Huamian's brows furrowed. She couldn't imagine who could race a sports car through a university campus, packed with students, and cause damage to the infrastructure. What about the perpetrator? Where are they? Huamian was filled with rage. He ran away. I heard that the girl in the passenger seat of his car was also seriously hurt and is undergoing emergency care at the hospital. However, the school already called the police. They are now investigating, so you don't need to worry. How could I not worry when I don't know how my little brother is doing? As she spoke, Huamian's tears began to fall. 3 hours later, the doors to the operating room opened. Huamian and her mother dashed up to the doctor at once, blocking his path. Dr. Liu, how is my brother? The situation doesn't look good, we've already done what we can to save him. However, there is hemorrhaging within his cranium. In addition, the location of the bleeding is extremely sensitive. We don't have full confidence in proceeding with a second operation. In a moment, the Department of Neurosurgery will come up with a plan. We'll discuss how to proceed with treatment with the family members then. Hearing this, both Huamian and her mother felt their knees give way under them. The situation doesn't look good meant that he hadn't stabilized yet. She understood the theory behind cranium hemorrhaging. The surgery that Qin Chu performed with her before was for a patient who was suffering from this condition. It was a technically demanding procedure, and the slightest mistake could result in lasting side effects. Less severe cases could result in decreased cognitive function or compromised motor movements. Severe cases could outright cause paralysis or leave the patient in a coma. Heavens, my poor baby boy. What have I done to deserve this? Yang Meirong wailed, kneeling onto the ground. At that moment, Huamian felt the sky fall down around her. Chapter 46. Emergent Rescue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown Translated, keep your voices down. You can't be loud in here. A nurse arrived immediately to intervene. Mom, calm down. Shut up. This is your fault, you little witch. You caused the death of Zhixin's dad, and now you've come to take Zhixin. What could I have done to deserve such a cursed daughter? Such bad karma. Yang Meirong was crying and throwing punches at Huamian. Huamian herself was morose, and she had no words to offer. Then, Yang Meirong suddenly grabbed Huamian's collar and yelled, "Did the Qin family do it? Ha! Is this another retaliation because you're going after their son again? Tell me now. Mom, calm down. Mr. Yao said it was a multi-car pileup, not a targeted accident," Huamian explained. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. It must be you. It must be that family. It has to be them. I'll kill them. When she finished, Yang Meirong ran towards the exit. Mom. Huamian held her mother's hand tightly, sobbing. Finally, her mother leaned forward and collapsed. Mom, stay with me. Huamian felt like her brain was going to explode. Her brother was not out of danger yet, and now her mom had fainted. Huamian had taken 2 hits and was on the brink of falling apart. After making arrangements for her mother, Huamian pulled herself together and walked towards the top floor of the hospital. At the hospital director's door. I want to see the director, Huamian said to the male assistant. Do you have an appointment? No. The assistant met Huamian last time so he knew who she was. He nodded, wait here for a second and I'll speak with him. Shortly, the assistant came out, you can go in now. Thank you. Huamian saw the director sitting in his chair when she walked in, presumably writing a report of some sort. Director Wu. Oh, you're here. Take a seat. The director wasn't a stranger to this uniform. Huamian nodded, her eyes red. She sat down on the chair across from the director. You are here for something. Tell me. The director thought she came with demands because he hadn't given her a big enough bonus last time. Unexpectedly, Huamian burst into tears as soon as she started talking. Director, please save my brother. What's going on? Slow down, take your time, he said with a grave tone. Seeing her like this, Director Wu stopped what he was doing and adjusted his glasses. Director, my brother was in a car accident today at school and was sent to our hospital for emergency care. The lead surgeon said that he suffered severe brain damage. After the emergency surgery, he's still not out of danger, so the doctor suggested a second surgery. But because his injuries are in a crucial part of the brain, the second surgery is extremely risky. He's only 19 and he's my only brother. I don't want to lose him. Please help me. I see. Don't worry. Let me make a phone call and ask. Soon after, Director Wu dialed the neurosurgery department extension and spoke to the doctor there. After a few minutes, Director Wu hung up the phone and said with a heavy tone, Huamian, your brother's situation is complicated. Dr. Liu from the neurosurgery department told me that he has little confidence in this surgery. Besides, even if the surgery is successful, there may be side effects. Then what should we do? What if we don't do the second surgery? Would that be better for him? Huamian was worried. Director Wu shook his head, listen to me, here is the thing. If we don't do the second surgery, his life will always be in danger. If the blood clots in his brain aren't removed completely, they may lead to a massive hemorrhage in his brain at any time. This is very serious. Then what should we do? Huamian was struck dumb. For the first time, she felt out of her wits. Here, go back and think about it. Also, talk to your family and consult with them. But I need to remind you that the second surgery will be very costly. It will be at least 300,000 yuan and the best window to do this surgery is within a week. Otherwise, the longer we wait, the greater the risks. As to the current hospitalization costs, you don't have to worry about that. I already put in prior notice, so you don't have to pay the bill right away. It can wait and be taken care of in the future. But go and talk to your family about the second surgery. That is the most important decision to make right now. Thank you, Director. I will go and think about it. Then, Huamian stood up muddle-headed. 300,000 yuan, it was a steep price. Where would she find all that money? Wait, the director called out suddenly. Huamian turned her exhausted head. Huamian, the guest surgeon that performed the surgery for that senior official, Dr. Qin, is an old friend of yours, right? This pivotal question had just then come to Director Wu's mind. Chapter 47. Raising Money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown translated. After hesitating for a few seconds, Huamian nodded her head. She knew that she could not hide this from the director. Yes, we know each other from before, she said, trying to avoid the important and dwell on the trivial. That makes things easier. If you are friends, I suggest that you ask Dr. Chin to perform the surgery for your brother. You should know that he is a doctor from Harvard. With the assistance of the lead surgeon at our hospital, your brother's surgery will have a higher chance of success. What do you think, Duviko? I'll think about it. Thanks for your reminder. After they finished talking, Huamian turned around and left the director's office. Her mood was complicated beyond compare. Should she ask for Chin Chu's help? She would rather die. Maybe she should gather the money first. After all, 300,000 yuan was no small sum. Inside the patient's room. Her mother was already awake when Huamian walked in, and she looked like she was still in a bad mood. Mom, I have something to talk to you about, Huamian started softly. Yang Meirong turned her pale face away and did not respond. I just went to the hospital director's office and asked about Jishin's situation. The director also suggested another surgery, but it's very expensive. It'll cost 300,000 yuan. We will save Jishin even if we have to sell our house and property. What good is money? Yang Meirong said resolutely, staring at Huamian. Huamian nodded. I was thinking of the same thing. I will do anything to save Jishin. Mom, take care of yourself and leave the rest to me. I'll go get the money first. Sell the house, we can rent, Yang Meirong said in a muffled voice as she lowered her head. We don't have enough time to sell the house, since the second surgery must be performed within a few days. Let me find a way. Take care of yourself and get better soon. After she finished talking, Huamian left her mom's room. She took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. Then, she took out her phone and scrolled through each of her contacts, trying to see if anyone could help her at this very moment. Then, she thought of someone. Ning Ziyuan. But it wasn't because she had no choice but to borrow money from him. It was just that when they bought the apartment, Huamian took 60,000 yuan from her own savings for the down payment. She didn't have a handsome salary, and that 60,000 was saved up from another part-time job she worked at while she worked full-time at the hospital. It wasn't easy. So she wanted to ask Ning Ziyuan if he could give her that money back. Soon after, she went to Ning Ziyuan's newly purchased apartment. She hadn't been there much. They planned to move in after they got married but they broke up, so it was unsettled. It was a 33-floor apartment building right on the 3rd Ring Road, so the traffic was good, and it was convenient to get around. Ning Ziyuan lived on the 9th floor. Huamian took the elevator to the 9th floor and stopped before Unit 902. Just as she was about to knock, she saw that the door wasn't closed all the way. She slowly opened the door. As she walked in, she saw a pair of female heels by the doorstep. They were purple and very sexy. She then heard flirty voices coming from inside the bedroom. Ugh, you haven't showered yet. Hurry, you're disgusting, no rush. I'll shower after we're done here, Ning Ziyuan bantered. Huamian realized that she came at the wrong time, and perhaps she shouldn't ask him. Right as she was about to turn around and leave, she knocked over a pair of shoes on the shoe rack and made quite a noise. Who is it? Ning Ziyuan immediately walked out from the bedroom to check. Seeing Huamian, he was a little surprised and awkward. Why are you here? Huamian saw Ning Ziyuan half naked, wearing nothing but a pair of boxers. She immediately turned her head away. My family has something going on and we need money. So, I just came to ask if you can give me back the money that I put in for the down payment. Chapter 48. Asking for help. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown translated editor. Noodletown translated money. It's all gone. We used it to buy this apartment. If you want it, you will have to wait until I save up. When I do, I'll pay you back. Okay, fine. After speaking, Huamian turned to leave. Huamian, what happened? Jixin was in a car accident. Huamian's voice was raspy. You shouldn't come to me for something of this magnitude. You should go look for your rich ex-boyfriend, Ning Ziyuan suddenly said. Huamian did not reply, but her face was filled with disappointment. She turned around to leave. After speaking, Ning Ziyuan regretted his decision. Why did he have to pick on her like that? Ziyuan, whose voice was that? Why aren't you coming back in? A feminine voice rang out from the bedroom. Ning Ziyuan actually still had money on his card. There was 100,000 yuan left in his account that he was going to use for the wedding. If he gave this money to Huamian, would she be moved enough to get back together with him? However, he also considered that there was the possibility that even if Huamian took his money, she would still refuse to get back together with him. That wouldn't be worth it. Walking out of Ning Ziyuan's apartment, Huamian got a call from Zhu Lingling. Girl, I just got off the plane and saw your message. What happened? Why do you need so much money? Zhu Lingling's voice sounded quite anxious. Jixin was in a car accident. He's in the hospital right now, and I need 300,000 yuan for the surgery. At that moment, Huamian's voice could not be more hoarse. What? Jixin was in an accident. Don't panic, where are you? I'll go find you right now. I'm at the Rainbow Business Building near 3rd Ring Road. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Zhu Lingling took a cab and got there in half an hour. She and Huamian found a KFC and sat down. Lingling, I really am out of options. What did the police say? What about the perpetrator? They're still investigating. According to them, 4 or 5 students were hurt. My brother wasn't the only one, and that makes it difficult for the police to deal with. Waiting for compensation takes a long process, and Jixin's surgery can't wait. We must get to it as quickly as possible. I understand. How about this? I have about 80,000 yuan saved up, you can take it for now. I'll go ask my parents, relatives, and friends to lend me money. I think I can get you around a 130,000 yuan. We'll figure out the rest. Thank you so much, Lingling. With red eyes, Huamian tightly held Zhu Lingling's hand. You idiot, we're best friends. You don't have to thank me. If I don't help you now, when would I? Money doesn't matter, what's most important is that Jixin is safe and healthy. Huamian nodded. Mian, why don't we ask the media? Once this goes public, we'll be able to gather enough from donations. Huamian hesitated for a while before replying, I thought about that too. But, if we alert the media and blow up this incident, Jixin will be under a lot of pressure once he recovers and returns to school. I don't want people to look at him with pity, do you understand? He's a boy after all, and is prideful. I want the media to be our last resort. Yeah, that's right. I didn't think it all the way through. It's fine, don't worry. We'll think of something. After she and Zhu Lingling parted, Huamian returned to her apartment and washed her face. Just then, a notification from WeChat popped up. Goddess Hua, are you there? The message was from her high school classmate Wei Dong. Yeah, what's up? I heard from Zhu Lingling that your brother had a car accident and needs money for the surgery. Is that right? Yes. I have money, I can lend it to you. Really? Thank you, Huamian excitedly replied. Let's meet up and discuss it. Sure. Huamian was ready to do anything for Jixin. At 6:30 p.m., Huamian met Wei Dong at a Thai restaurant nearby. He drove a black Mercedes-Benz GLK and was dressed in Armani. In his hand was a LV purse, and on his wrist was a Longines diamond watch. He looked like a spoiled rich kid. Huamian, on the other hand, was dressed in a white T-shirt and jeans. It was simple yet elegant. I hope I didn't keep you waiting for long, smiling, Wei Dong asked. Chapter 49. Condition you are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown Translated. Huamian shook her head. Not really, I arrived a few minutes ago. Let's order first, what do you want? Anything will do, I don't really have an appetite. Server, let's get a lover's combo, a fruit salad, and dessert. Yes, sir. After ordering, Wei Dong turned to look at Huamian with a seemingly pleasant attitude. Huamian, how is your brother doing right now? It's not looking good, we're still waiting to undergo the second operation. Don't worry, he'll get better. Thanks. After some polite small talk, Wei Dong brought up the money topic. I didn't bring the money today, it's not convenient for me to carry so much cash. When I get to my company tomorrow, I can ask the finance department to transfer the money to you. Just send your bank account number to me via WeChat. Thank you, Wei Dong. I will pay you back as soon as possible, with interest, if you want. What are you talking about? We're old friends, we shouldn't talk about interest. You are underestimating me. I didn't mean it like that, I am just very thankful that you can help me. Don't thank me, I actually have something else to say. Maybe you would find me despicable, but I'm being genuine here. Huamian, you don't have to pay me back, I only have one condition. Will you be my girlfriend? Huamian's eyes faltered slightly, she was not too surprised. With her wits, she had already guessed what Wei Dong wanted. There was no such thing as a free lunch, and all things came with a price. But I heard from Lingling that you have a girlfriend. I don't want to be the third person in someone else's relationship, Huamian replied. She doesn't count as a girlfriend, more like a friend with benefits. Those women are all cheap and despicable, dating me for my money and not for me. I obviously can't be loyal to them. But you are different, I've liked you since high school. Huamian, give me a chance, and I'll be good to you. I'm not just playing around, we can get engaged now and be married within a month. After we get married, I'll buy you a house and a car, and let you live comfortably. I'll care for your mom and brother forever too. Getting emotional, Wei Dong reached out to hold Huamian's hand. However, before he had touched it, Huamian raised her hand and put it on her hair as if to fix it, avoiding the awkward contact. Wei Dong, you don't like gold diggers or women who date you for your money. How could you be sure that I am not going to date you for that purpose? I am not a fairy, and I am not virtuous. I have my own greed and desires. Fairy tales and TV shows are fictitious, and perfect women like that don't exist. Don't have too much expectation and illusions for what I am not, as there is a difference between reality and fantasy. Huamian had spoken these words to Wei Dong before, but it seemed like he did not take what she said seriously. No, you're not like that. If you really are a gold digger, you wouldn't have broken up with Qin Chu like that all those years ago. Compared to GK, my family is not worth a dime. Wei Dong used the excuse promisingly. Upon hearing Qin Chu's name, Huamian felt a part of her heartache. Qin Chu was the part of her past that she could not return to. Huamian, I really like you with all my heart. Please give me a chance, Wei Dong begged again, with a sincere expression on his face. Chapter 50. Decision. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Noodletown Translated Editor. Noodletown Translated. Let me think about this, and I'll get back to you. Okay, I'll be waiting for you, said Wei Dong as he looked at Huamian with love. After Huamian left the restaurant, she headed directly to the hospital. Her little brother didn't wake up yet, so she stayed in the VIP room to look after him. Meanwhile, her mother's mental state had grown worse. She began acting more anxious, looking like she was about to explode at any moment. Huamian, exhausted, sat on the bench outside the VIP room and dug her head deep into her arms. Huamian. Head nurse, Huamian said with difficulty after she recognized who it was. I heard what happened. I'll allow you to go on leave for the next few days. Take care of your little brother first. Thank you, head nurse, I know all about your situation at home. Those in the OB/GYN department put together 5,000 yuan for you, take it. We'll think of something else if it isn't enough. No, I can't take it, said Huamian as she grew uneasy. Take it, it's just a little something from all of us. We all want your brother to get better. Huamian nodded, as tears emerged from the corners of her eyes. She begged Ning Ziyuan, but it was futile. She begged her classmates, but they all spoke of conditions. It might be too much to say that it was like pouring salt on the wound, but they sure were opportunistic. She couldn't be more grateful now that her colleagues had done this voluntarily. The truth was, kindness between humans were mutual. Huamian had fully committed herself in the half-year since she began working in the OB/GYN department. She had done all kinds of dirty work, and often picked up her colleagues' unwanted shifts, so she was very well liked within the department. Even though the head nurse was very strict, she was still a very ethical and kind person. I have to run off now. Get yourself together, your brother still needs you. The head nurse turned to leave after she patted Huamian's shoulders. Just then, a WeChat message suddenly popped up. Huamian took her phone, looked at it, and saw that it was from Zhu Lingling. I heard that you've asked Wei Dong for money. Yes. Don't ask him for money. Don't you know what he wants from you? You're walking into his trap. Shouldn't you say that Wei Dong walked into my trap instead? Don't be silly, what are you talking about? I'm not kidding. He would never lend money to you for no reason, Zhu Lingling replied angrily. Yes, he does have conditions. He wants to be engaged to me, and get married within a month. Well, what do you think? I want to agree. Are you crazy? You want to marry a guy like him? Don't you know what kind of person he is? Zhu Lingling was now very agitated. Lingling, I have to marry someone anyway, and if I can't marry someone I love, why would anything else matter? Zhu Lingling grew silent on the other side. After a few moments, Zhu Lingling finally replied carefully, Mian, have you ever thought about asking Qin Chu for help? Maybe he could help you. I would rather marry Wei Dong than beg Qin Chu. Zhu Lingling didn't say anything else after she saw how determined Huamian was. After Wei Dong left, he became incredibly happy. He knew that Huamian needed money immediately, and it was only a matter of time before she agreed to his terms. Therefore he told the class leader, Han Su, about this in an attempt to show off. This piece of gossip quickly spread around to their other classmates, as one told another and so on. Qin Chu was in a business meeting when a friend request suddenly appeared from his WeChat app. It was his high school classmate, Lu Xiying. Qin Chu originally didn't want to respond, but Lu Xiying added a sentence along with her friend request, which attracted Qin Chu's attention. Huamian is marrying Wei Dong. Qin Chu's face immediately grew grim when he saw this sentence. He slapped his phone on the table with a bang, shocking all of GK's executives.